What's creepier than a clown? An alien spider from another dimension. Pennywise's origins are no laughing matter. The inspiration for Pennywise came to Stephen King while he was crossing a covered bridge. In Bev Vincent's Stephen King, a complete exploration of his work, life, and influences, the iconic horror writer is quoted as saying, "I was wearing cowboy boots with run-down heels, and I was very aware of the sound they made on the boards. They sounded like a hollow clock." His mind recalled the fairy tale Three Billy Goats Gruff, and the troll dwelling below a bridge threatening to gobble up three goat brothers. He subsequently imagined an evil force that could shapeshift into anything its prey feared, giving King the freedom to write about all the monsters he could think of. According to Vincent's book, the idea to make Pennywise a clown struck King while he walked the streets of Bangor, Maine, after a rainstorm. While passing a sewer, his mind once again went to that troll under the bridge. King is quoted as saying, "As I looked at this one sewer as I was going by, the voice inside speaks up again and says, 'The troll lives there too, only when he's in the sewers, he has a clown suit.'"
You hear voices from the sewer?
It's common knowledge that most of Stephen King's books and short stories are connected, with the author creating an intricate shared universe for much of his career. In fact, a television series set in the fictional town of Castle Rock brought the author's various characters and stories together to tell brand new tales for 2 seasons. If you're yet to read any King books, you might not be aware that his stories actually take place in a multiverse. Importantly, there is another dark space outside of that multiverse called the Macroverse. In his Dark Tower cycle of books, this is referred to as the Todash Darkness, and some pretty freaky things beyond our comprehension live out there. One of its inhabitants is a gargantuan cosmic turtle named Maturin, who vomited up our universe like something out of an ancient creation myth. Maturin isn't all that interested in what happens to us, which is why another entity from the Macroverse was able to enter our space, crash into an area that would become Derry, Maine, and feed on humanity for centuries. The second being is what readers of It know as Pennywise, the Eater of Worlds. Fiction contains a lot of monsters driven by hunger. Zombies often shamble through post-apocalyptic worlds looking for living flesh to consume, while vampires stalk the night thirsting for blood. While all these monsters have their own creative strengths and weaknesses, Pennywise stands apart because of the sheer joy it derives from hunting its prey. The entity we refer to as Pennywise doesn't just kill and eat its food, but toys with it first. For it, eating isn't enough, and the point is to savor the meal. Like a chef perfectly preparing a steak by tenderizing and salting it just enough, Pennywise preps its food by scaring it. As a result, the scenes in which Pennywise takes the form of a werewolf, the creature from the Black Lagoon, or a sick and rotting old man are its versions of salting the meat.
I can smell the stink of your fear.
The flesh of a scared person tastes better than that of someone who doesn't suspect they're about to be eaten. This is why it takes on so many forms, in order to exploit a person's fear and bring out their very best flavors. Children naturally scare more easily than adults because they still believe in the impossible things that adults lose faith in. For an adult, believing in supernatural monsters is a psychological defect. For kids, belief in monsters is a means of survival. The monster under the bed can't get you if you know it's there. Unless, of course, it decides to come looking for you.
I thought if you couldn't see my face, then maybe you would want to be my friend.
After crashing into our planet from the Macroverse, it slept deep below the ground until the early part of the 16th century, when mankind started inhabiting the land above his domain. Awakened from a long, deep slumber, it was hungry and began devouring the people going about their lives in this new world born from Maturin. After about a year of doing so, it was satiated and returned to its subterranean home to sleep for another 27 years. This was the beginning of a cycle of horror that would continue for more than 2 centuries. Pennywise's natural feeding routine is to wake up every 27 years and eat the residents of Derry before hibernating. During this time, the small town goes pretty much unnoticed by the rest of the world, allowing it to feed without gaining unnecessary attention. Inhabitants of Derry seem to forget the entity's terrible deeds shortly after they occur. This is why the Losers Club have no idea Pennywise even exists when he starts coming after them in 1957. One resident remembers seeing Pennywise the night a lumberjack killed a dozen men at the dawn of the 20th century, but didn't know its name and never told anyone else. It is this kind of traumatic amnesia that allows Pennywise to continue feeding unchecked, until some kids decide to finally fight back. Obviously, there is nothing realistic about Pennywise, but that doesn't mean that everything about King's novel is complete fiction. One of the most horrific scenes in the book, and brought to life in It Chapter 2, involves a homophobic hate crime where a gay man is beaten and thrown off a bridge. He has asthma and struggles to keep from drowning. To make things worse, the individual offering him a helping hand is Pennywise, the dancing clown. The scene was inspired by the actual 1984 murder of Charlie Howard. In Stephen King, a complete exploration of his work, life, and influences, Bev Vincent writes, "The victim, Howard, did not drown after being thrown off the bridge into the stream. He suffocated because of his asthma, which King likens to being frightened to death." According to Vincent, King researched the police investigation of Charlie Howard's murder and created a fictionalized version of it for the portion of his book set in 1985. The decision to include the scene in It Chapter 2 was controversial, with some regarding it as cheap and disrespectful. However, director Andy Muschietti and star Jessica Chastain felt it was important to include the scene because Pennywise represents the darkness in humans that society prefers to ignore. As Pennywise is an ancient entity from another universe, it isn't limited to the same rules as the rest of us. Instead, the true form of it is unknowable. However, we do know that the deadlights seem to be a kind of power source driving it, and anyone who sees that power is driven insane. In the book, Bill's wife sees them and becomes catatonic until Pennywise is defeated. This energy also provides it with a vast array of abilities only glimpsed in the film and television adaptations. Shapeshifting and mind reading are the obvious examples. We know that Pennywise can dip into a person's consciousness, identify what scares them most, and then become that thing. However, it's a lot less clear how it has the ability to control people. For instance, why don't Derry residents remember when Pennywise kills and eats their friends and family? And why is it that when people move away from Derry, their childhoods become something akin to barely remembered dreams?
I forgot. How could I forget?
Pennywise's ability to control people like puppets while also manipulating their thoughts is truly terrifying. That manipulation runs even deeper, with it seemingly able to keep the town of Derry alive and thriving despite all the murders that happen every 27 years. By manipulating the town's reality, it is able to maintain an endless food supply. The spell over Derry only begins to break when Pennywise is finally defeated. Readers of King's novel join the Losers Club on a journey from childhood to adulthood, experiencing the characters' fears and heartbreaks for hundreds of pages. In the end, everything comes down to the group standing up against Pennywise's most terrifying form yet, which is a giant spider. While some might find the villain's final form a little disappointing, this isn't just any spider but a giant, pregnant spider. Suddenly, everything we thought we knew about Pennywise is thrown out the window because it appears as though the being can reproduce. Although it's assumed that the spider is Pennywise's true form, that doesn't necessarily confirm that it is actually pregnant. This could be another tactic to frighten the Losers Club into thinking there are more of its kind out there, whether there are or not. The fact that the book makes us ask these questions proves that King really tapped into something special with Pennywise's final form. When the book is finished, we have no idea what was real and what wasn't. Was the being actually female, and did any of those eggs hatch? More importantly, were those eggs even real? The doubt that we're instilled with is actually the point. As the product of a person's fears and anxieties, it's poetic that readers and viewers are left with the unsettling notion that it might not actually be gone. For any reader really interested in wandering through Stephen King's multiverse, there's no better place to do so than in the Dark Tower books. The series is about a gunslinger named Roland Deschain on a quest to find the Dark Tower at the center of the multiverse and climb to the top of it. While doing so, he travels between realities, encountering characters from other King books like Father Callahan from Salem's Lot, Patrick Danville from Insomnia, and multiple forms of Randall Flagg from The Stand. The way in which Roland meets Patrick Danville is actually tied to it. In the final book, The Dark Tower, Roland ventures into the land of Empathica, where he is taken in by someone calling themselves Joe Collins. This person gets assistance from an android called Stuttering Bill and seems like a nice, funny guy until the truth sets in. As it turns out, this isn't a former stand-up comedian called Joe Collins, but Dandello, a being that feeds on human emotions. Dandello keeps Danville in the basement where he eats the young man's emotions. He gets close to killing Roland too, but the gunslinger and his companion manage to defeat the creature. They rescue Danville and continue their quest. But the fact that Dandello feeds on emotion immediately makes the reader think of Pennywise. According to author Bev Vincent, King has stated that Dandello is not Pennywise, but they may be from the same species. It would seem that having its heart crushed by Bill Denbrough would be enough to kill Pennywise for good. After all, once it is murdered, the spell over Derry dissolves and memories of Pennywise's evil begin to fade. However, Stephen King has hinted in subsequent books that Pennywise may not be gone for good.
Oh yes. They float.
In The Tommyknockers, a character travels to Derry and has a vision of a familiar-sounding clown in a sewer. The character in question isn't doing well mentally, so he might just be having a hallucination that just so happens to connect to one of King's older works. A more substantial hint, though, comes in Dreamcatcher, a novel about adults dealing with their past traumas. The alien in Dreamcatcher is referred to as Mr. Gray, which is extremely similar to one of Pennywise's aliases, of Robert or Bob Gray. The alien visits Derry in order to poison the water supply, but learns that the Derry standpipe was destroyed during the events of It. On a plaque commemorating those who died in the 1985 flood, someone has spray-painted the words, "Pennywise lives." Was this the result of a lingering memory in the mind of a Derry resident, or a warning that Pennywise isn't done with the people of Maine? For now, that's another question only King fans can answer for themselves.